Well, it may have been a while since you heard the name Vivek Ramaswamy in the news cycle.
Turns out the biotech entrepreneur and former presidential candidate has filed paperwork to run for governor of Ohio.
Ramaswamy had tweeted yesterday that he had a big announcement to make. He also wrote on X, "Get cell phones out of the classroom, start physical education in kindergarten, bring back the presidential fitness test. The best way to save on healthcare costs in the long run is to foster a healthier population in the first place. It's going to be up to the states to step up and get it done."
Here's Ramaswamy on the PBD podcast in October discussing a potential run.
If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said no. I mean, it wasn't even in my headspace. But I will tell you, as I live in Ohio, I was born and raised there, this is the number one thing that people across the state will come literally plead with me, beg me to do. And so when people are in your own state begging you to do something that you're not, it's not something that I view as a pleasurable job. It's not something that I have always aspired to in my whole life. But public service is about serving the public, right?
Ramaswamy was initially set to co-lead DOGE with Elon Musk, but he did leave that project in January. He told the Breakfast Club host, Charlemagne the God, that elected office was the better path for him at the moment. Ramaswamy also said there were conflicting visions for the project between him and Musk, but that they still get along.
The Ohio governor's race includes the state's Attorney General, Dave Yost, entrepreneur Heather Hill, and former state health director, Dr. Amy Acton. Well, here's Vivek going for it. I mean, he has a good chance. I have some skepticism about Vivek Ramaswamy for various reasons, including, I think, the business record that he extols as one of his premier qualifications is a bit more dubious than he tries to make it appear. There was the whole episode, which we won't relitigate in full here, where he basically seemed to talk up the prospect of a certain drug cashed out, and then that drug notably failed to live up to its promise, and there were all sorts of questions around that. He then, I think, sort of tethered himself to Trump very closely, having had not got very far with his own presidential bid. I tend to see him as a bit of an opportunist, but that doesn't mean that an opportunist can't win elections if it's the right opportunity.
Yes, indeed. His split from DOGE is not fully understood why that took place. If it was just a personality clash or differences of approach. What I have heard reading between the lines is it seems possible to me that Vivek was more set on finding real cuts to make in terms of exposing Medicare fraud, which there's a tremendous amount of that, but that includes taking on very powerful interest groups like the insurance companies, et cetera. You cannot balance the budget. You cannot bring government spending under control unless you're willing to do something about defense and entitlements. There have been rumors, by the way, that DOGE is going to look at defense. Pete Hegseth, I think, put out a memo suggesting that was coming. I still hope that is going to be the case. That's an area where you and I agree on. But anyway, that the Vivek approach was not the one they wanted to go with. So he's a talented speaker, and I think really did successfully endear himself to many MAGA people on the campaign trail, ostensibly running against Trump while really being Trump's surrogate in the debates when Trump did not participate. So I think he could have a bright future in elected office, and he should go for it.
I do think he could win, obviously, not least because Ohio itself has trended a lot more Republican over the years. When I first came to the US about 20 years ago, first election I covered was 2004, Ohio then was considered the key swing state. It continued to be a key swing state for a couple of subsequent elections, but after the Obama era has become much, much more Republican. So whoever becomes the Republican nominee, it would be the favorite to win the governor's mansion, I suppose. And Ramaswamy, because of his closeness to Trump, because of his loyalty to Trump, would obviously be well set to do that.
There was some indication that he wanted the J.D. Vance's Senate seat to be picked as the replacement for that. That did not happen. It's not happening. So he could run for governor, however, and we'll see. I've always appreciated that he makes himself available to a lot of podcasters, a lot of internet shows. He was on Rising, I think, twice back in the day before he was running for president, or maybe while he was running for president. He was on, as we played that clip of him, with Patrick Bet-David, who does a lot of interviews with high-profile people all over the political spectrum.
I saw him just in the courtyard of our building here a few weeks ago. We should have dragged him in for an impromptu.
Just outside?
Yeah, just outside. So we should have dragged him in for a rising interview again for that. Do you think that the split with Musk, you would have a better insight obviously into the Conservative movement than I would. Does the split with Musk, I mean, I guess it wasn't that acrimonious at all, but that doesn't hamper him at all with sort of MAGA world people in your judgment?
No, I don't think so, because as you said, it was not acrimonious. They're not like feuding in public. Yeah, obviously, if Trump turned on Vivek, that would be the end of him. But there's no inclination that is going to happen. And I think, being a little cynical, I think some in the mainstream media were looking for any evidence that there's some kind of rift in Trump world. They're really keen to start finding some rift between Elon and Trump that could materialize eventually. I know that's very possible. Certainly has not materialized yet. And I think they were trying to find a way to say, oh, look, it's the coalition's already cracking apart, breaking up, when that doesn't really seem to fit the facts between them.
I actually think that split, or the idea of a split, has become somewhat more salient just within the past few days, because there has been some blowback, including from Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, against that tweet that Musk sent, and then the subsequent email about people doing bullet points in order to protect their jobs. There seems to have been some perception that Musk was getting over his skis there, but that, I agree, is a separate thing from the Ramaswamy-Musk dispute or difference.
Next up, my colleague at Reason Magazine, Christian Britschke, will join us to talk about the lawsuits DOGE is facing. Stay tuned.